And we are live, living color here from Sports Talk Nation. Folks, glad to have you aboard here today as we got a lot of stuff to talk about here today. Joining me to talk about some sports here today, we're going to focus on some football, a little bit of baseball as well, is Karen Vankat, and she rejoins us today. And, you know, Karen, when I told you that this week we were going to do a show, little did I know that we would have a little extra layer of some juicy stories here to talk about with the Eli Manning situation. But before we do that, happy Thanksgiving and Merry early Christmas, if that makes sense.
Happy Thanksgiving to you. And I just want to say right now, my Christmas shopping is done.
Uh-oh, she did it, folks. She beat Black Friday.
I wanted to get, I actually was really done probably before Thanksgiving. I just added one or two little things, but I wanted to be done because now I just want to coast. Yeah. Going into the holidays, just coast on in. So yes, shopping is done.
Now that's how to do it, because I always start looking around in late October. I don't go full bore, but I start looking around in October, a little bit here in November, because sometimes the good deals are there before Black Friday. You know, everyone's like, "Oh, you got to do this on Black Friday. You got to run around like a mad person on Black Friday." No. You get it done before then. Like you said,
I got good deals before even Black Friday.
Exactly.
I mean, like you said, depending on who you're buying for, you got something in your head. They tell you kind of what they want, and you're kind of looking anyway, and then all of a sudden, boom, and then there's a couple things that pop up. You know, I'm a big QVC person besides Amazon, but QVC's been having great stuff the last 2 weeks. And, it's like, oh, yeah, that'd be great, and I'm done. That's all I know, and I'm happy. Now I just got to wrap and stuff, but at least, it's bought.
I got my dad hooked onto Amazon, and now he can't get enough of it. Like Amazon, don't go out, don't go looking for stuff, don't frustrate yourself for hours. Just go on to Amazon. And I showed him how to do it a couple months ago, and he's like, "Oh, really?" I was like, "Oh, yeah, it takes seconds."
Amazon's great too. You've seen the two of them. I'm done. I think most of my shopping. I don't think I went outside of those two places, to be perfectly honest. Absolutely. And I'm done. And I didn't hit a store.
So, anyway, as we move into the football, one team that we know might be looking for a quarterback in New York this Black Friday might be the Giants. What's going on there? This is such a bizarre situation here with the Giants regarding Eli Manning that it was just poorly handled for so many different reasons. One, the way that Ben McAdoo and Jerry Reese, and I'm assuming the ownership and John Mayer and Steve Tisch handle this just very cavalierly, saying, well, we're just going to bench Eli Manning and we're going to go with Geno Smith, makes absolutely no sense at all. Now, yes, I understand the 2-9. I understand Eli hasn't played all that well, but it seems to me that McAdoo has had this grudge against Eli from really the very start. He's always blasting him in the media almost every single week, is open about how disgruntled he is as the quarterback of the team. But a lot of the season isn't Eli's fault. That's the thing I've been saying to a lot of people. It's not all Eli. Yes, he's turned it over. He hasn't been as good as he's been in years past. I know he's 36 years old, but look at who's playing behind. An offensive line that has not been fixed in about 4 or 5 years. He has no running game, hasn't had running game since, 2011. He's missing his top 2 targets at wide receiver. He has nobody to play with, nobody that can help him in these games. And I just get the sense from Reese, from McAdoo, that it's all Eli's fault, and now we're going to be good to go with Geno Smith. Geno Smith, of all people. It drives me insane. It really does.
Well, the whole thing, like you said, it was handled totally wrong. Yes, you could see Eli declining these last couple of years, but like you said, he doesn't have an offensive line, and because of that, he's gotten, I call, happy feet. If you've noticed Eli back there, he's like getting rid of it too fast. They do that. I don't know what the look is. If it's from behind the quarterback, you could see like their view. Sometimes they give you that shot on a replay, and you see a guy wide open, and he doesn't see it because he's running for his life. Or he's, trying not to get sacked or whatever's going on. So Eli, the last, like you said, I'd say good from when Coughlin was there. Coughlin's last 2 years maybe? Coughlin's last 2 years through these two with McAdoo, like you said, 4 to 5 years. You want to say he's declined, but being older, first of all, he doesn't move anyway. I mean, he didn't when he was younger, even though he was able to get away somewhat. That's not his game. Now you're older. Okay, so you're not even moving faster anyway. He's a product of this team now. His play, the last 4 to 5 years, is a product of how inept the offensive line has been. And let's go back to Jerry Reese. And this is where I blame. Let's start. It starts from the head down. Nobody is absolved here
Absolutely
from any
not.
blame. Let's start with the ownership. Let's start with John Mara. When he got rid of Coughlin and he thought in his mind that's what he needed to do, and yeah, Coughlin was there 10 years, things weren't looking right. I personally would have given Tom one more year myself at that point, the way things were. But he decided, I'm taking him out. That's his right as ownership. He pays the bills. He should have let Reese go too. It should have been clean house with the upper management. That means the GM and the coach, not just the coach, because it looked like everything was thrown like on Coughlin's back.
You know,
he was the problem. He wasn't the problem. It was an accumulative effect of a lot of things, and blame Reese for not giving Coughlin what he needed. He wanted a lot of things. He never got them. So when Coughlin was canned, Reese should have been canned too. That should have been right there, the beginning of something, a new era for the Giants. That's where you start. That was Mara's and Tish's fault, and they kept Reese.
Yeah, not only that, but also they bring in a guy like McAdoo because out of fear that he would go to the Eagles. Well, how does that look now? I mean, now look,
exactly.
I don't know who the Giants would have, what the other options they would have brought in. I know some people throw in the name Bill Cowher. I don't know how legitimate that would have been at the time when they brought in McAdoo. But the fact is,
Cowher wouldn't have come out of the box.
I don't think so either. But the fact is, this team could have gone out there and totally cleaned house and brought in a fresh face as a general manager to run this operation, and they completely dropped the ball. And you know what I would say to John Mara is this. On today, not 3 years ago, but today, I would say, now you are the Jets, you are the Browns, you're the Lions, you're all these teams rolled up into one who can't think straight and can't shoot straight and can't do anything right. Because that's what the Giants look like right now. What you just mentioned with Coughlin and the way that was handled, and they fire Coughlin, keep Reese. Doesn't that sound familiar? Let me think. Oh yeah, the Jets did the same thing. They kept Rex but fired Tannenbaum. That worked out well too. It's just amazing to me how the Giants, this pinnacle of the sport, right? One of the top teams in the National Football League, they have just crumbled as far as a organization is concerned, and they can't do anything right. They can't handle the Coughlin situation well. They can't handle Eli's situation right. Now, should they have a plan to bring in Davis Webb? Certainly they should. You know, you want to see here week 16, week 17, bringing Davis Webb into the second half of those last two games. Okay, I could see that. But week 13, and you say, well, Eli, we want you to sit on the bench for the second half for Geno Smith? I'm surprised Eli didn't just get up and walk and say, you know what, just trade me now or cut me. Seriously.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Let's put it this way: is Geno Smith? I'm going to go back. Let's go back. How long? I forgot how long Eli's been playing. What, 15 years now?
Yeah,
14. 36.
14 years since 04.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's go back in time. Drafted Phillip Rivers, made the trade at the draft, got your guy. You wanted Eli, and that's who you got. Then you made your trade. Who was it? Corsi. You got Eli. That's the guy you wanted. He was on him. He's got pedigree with his father and his brother. We know what he can do. He's going to be our franchise quarterback. Come hell or high water, unless he totally just implodes, he's our franchise quarterback. Boom. Kurt Warner playing a bunch of games. I want Eli in. Let's get Eli. Let's start looking at him now. Because Kurt's going to be a free agent. He's going to be gone. We want Eli in there now. Understandable. Everybody was in an uproar kind of then in a way. But Eli's going to be a franchise quarterback. And he has been for 15 years. So you knew, of course you knew, he's going to be our guy. Let's look at him. Fast forward, 2017. Eli is Kurt Warner. But Geno Smith is not Eli Manning as a rookie.
And neither is Davis Webb.
Geno Smith and even Davis Webb at this point is not your franchise quarterback.
No.
So benching an Eli Manning, a la benching Kurt Warner, it's a different story, and it's a totally different ball game here. So that's the kick in the gut. And everybody's like, oh, now look what Eli did to Kurt, and now what's happening to him. It's different.
Very different.
Because these two guys are not your franchise quarterback. It's not like it's next year. You drafted one of those other guys first or second, and the team is imploding with a lot of problems, and you're going, boom. Eli, he's down to his last year of his contract. Maybe we'll release him. He's 37 years old. All right, let's go to the kid that we drafted that's going to be the next giant quarterback for 10 or 15 years. These two guys are not. Maybe Davis Webb is a diamond in the rough. I don't know, but he wasn't drafted that way.
No.
He wasn't drafted as your number one pick, and he's your franchise quarterback. So why are you doing this? This is not Eli's fault. Now you're putting in even Geno Smith, though I'd like to see, not Geno Smith, the kid, Webb. I would like to see him at some point into a situation with no weapons. What, Ingram? That's it. Forget Lewis and all these other people. All right? He's got Ingram as his tight end. All right? No running game. No offensive line. The kid could get crushed. Geno could get crushed for all we know. The defense, that's totally, they just put Janoris Jenkins on IR and by a whole mess of other guys on IR this week. They are decimated. They're decimated by injuries. They're decimated by their poor play, by the total disregard for their head coach. All right. That they have no respect for McAdoo. All right. They weren't playing for him. You had two guys suspended and everything else that's happened with this team. So what are we doing?
I don't know.
Why is Eli sitting?
He is.
What is the purpose of it all?
He's the scapegoat. That's what it is. It's easy to blame. It's like everything else in the NFL.
He's Tom Coughlin.
That's right. He's the old guard, and this is about he's the old guard, and this is about McAdoo and Reese. I think both of them together with a power play, saying, "Hey, we want to show that we can still run this ship here, and we can deserve to be coaches because deserve to still be here. Because let's just say, just for the sake of argument, Geno Smith goes out there and lights it up against Oakland. Not going to happen, of course, but let's just say he does. All of a sudden, Ben McAdoo looks like a genius. That's what they're thinking over there. So they're thinking, hey, if we win some games here with Geno and maybe Davis Webb, and we can get rid of Eli, and hey, we can keep our jobs here long term. That's their thought process. Okay, so they needed a scapegoat, and Eli's the scapegoat, and that's why this is so wrong. That's why this whole thing is wrong. And I really want to see John Mara step in. Now, there's been a few things published today. He has come out, Mara, with some comments saying that he's upset with the 2-9 record, obviously, as he would be, and he would like to see this whole situation with Eli handled much better than it was. But he is the one that McAdoo says approved of this move. So what's giving here is my biggest question. Does McAdoo have some rope here to work with? Or is this part of a bigger setup by Mara to say, okay, you want to bench my star? I'm going to fire you anyway at the end of the season. So it's really interesting to see how this thing's going to play out with the owner and the head coach.
I think, no, John Mara doesn't seem like I wouldn't say vindictive or nasty type like a Jerry Jones or going after you. I think like you hit it on the head though a little bit. I think in the back of his mind, John Mara's going, all right, him and Reese should be gone. McAdoo and Reese should be gone. Period. End of story. There should be no discussion on this. So he's going, now you want to do Eli. Now Eli's saying he's the one who said, I don't want to start the game. His streak ends. Remember, he's second, I think, for most appearances in a row.
Starts in a row,
Think of the durability of him. Think of the durability, all right, over these years. How many years was he beat up? There was periods in this 15-year career, of course, most recent, but prior to that, the offensive line wasn't good. Before the David Deals and all those guys, O'Hara and, everybody else. He took beatings. He took, and young, when he first was thrown in for Warner in those first couple of years. So, and the guy is durable. Yes, his skills have deteriorated. I think, personally, yes, they have to look for a new quarterback. I think, and I know it's a product somewhat of the line and everything else, but still, his decision-making's been awful. And I'm not going to do this to him.
No.
Can you imagine let's go back to baseball for a second.
Sure.
The New York Yankees doing this to like a Derek Jeter. Now, Eli Manning is as close to that as you're going to get with the Giants because of how upstanding a guy he is. And this is what kind of character he does have, because he's saying, no, I don't want to just start for the streak. Don't put me in for a quarter, and then these guys are coming in no matter what. I'm not preparing for that. I'm not preparing to play for a quarter. So give him a little kudos. He's throwing the streak out, and he doesn't give a damn, because that's not him. He's not going to be like a fake record or whatever. So, but he's as upstanding a guy as Jeter was. For all his career, there's not a blemish. And all these years, always talking to the press, no matter how bad it was or how, good it was or whatever. Always saying the right things. Did Eli ever disgrace this organization?
No, never.
Ever disgrace this organization? Never. But you've had people bigger than him disgrace the organization, going back to Lawrence Taylor and fast forward to Odell Beckham Jr.
Absolutely.
Okay?
And
you've had plenty of stars disgrace the Giants. He is not one of them.
And that's another thing, too, because let's talk about Odell Beckham Jr. here for a second. Because remember when he lifted his leg and did that whole act of peeing like a dog in Philadelphia, and Ben McAdoo did nothing to address the situation. And you got Odell then screaming at the fans, the Philadelphia fans in the stands, and, gesturing at the fans and everything. And all McAdoo says is just turns around and says, just stop. Like, really, man? Get a control of your team. That's why all the players on the defense have turned against him, and that's why you had a lot of players end up rallying against him. That's why Jenkins was suspended and Cromartie were suspended, because of their distrust of this coach. And I think Eli's distrusted the coach all season. He hasn't gone out and said, I don't trust Ben McAdoo. He's not going to do that. He's not that kind of guy. But Ben McAdoo has proven he is scared of guys like Odell Beckham Jr. He's scared of the stars, but he isn't afraid to push around a guy who's a quiet guy like an Eli Manning. Can you imagine if you brought up Derek Jeter? Let me bring this back to football. Imagine if McAdoo did that to someone like a Tom Brady. Now, Tom Brady's not a quiet guy. He would play. He would grab McAdoo by the neck and throw him out the window. I mean, seriously, okay? I mean, he wouldn't be able to get away with it. Eli's.
McAdoo, and he threw Eli early on in the season under the bus. And everybody said, oh, well, he did that because Eli can handle it and the other players would follow. The other players didn't follow. It got worse. It got worse because they saw what he did to their franchise quarterback, and then they had how many people were suspended, not showing up for meetings, revolting, going to leave the facility. Have you ever seen anything like this in Giant history?
Never.
Personally, McAdoo, and I know what everybody said, you don't fire people in the middle of the season, blah, blah, blah. I'm sick of the BS.
Yeah.
2 games ago, he should have been fired, and Reese should have been fired at the same time, because your season was lost. Now, officially, your season is lost. You're not making the playoffs. Mathematically eliminated. You know what that means? Who cares about the rest of the year? Obviously, the players don't. So I know you have to care. And as ownership, you know what? You're going to say, I'm in charge. This is my team. I own this team. I pay you. Reese should have been gone. McAdoo should have been gone. Put Spagnuolo as your head coach because he's got some experience. Finish out your year with whatever you can do. Still start Eli. Forget Geno. Forget Geno totally. Bring in the kid in the second half or something. Start. Let's see what he can do. You got some rookies. You got some guys who are, what do you call it?
You got some young players that need some playing time. I mean, that's the bottom line. You want to see what they can do here at the end of the season. I mean, there's a way to handle this, and then there's the way the Giants have handled it. And the way the Giants have handled it is they have botched it so badly that nobody on this team is going to want to play anymore for this coach. I mean, I wouldn't be. Right. I mean, they've mailed it in already this year with the Rams game and the 49er game. They're going to mail it in big time here down the stretch. And maybe John Mara will get it. And I'm going to take a quote here from one of my friends from yesterday on. I just saw a video he posted on Facebook yesterday. Maybe the Giants will get it when there's a bunch of Cowboy fans in the stadium next week and Eagle fans in the stadium the week after that. Maybe then they'll start to get it that, hey, you know what? Maybe we've made a mistake keeping Ben McAdoo around this long.
Well, that's what you're going to say. People are going to sell their tickets out to the other. And to be perfectly honest, if I was a Giants season ticket holder right now, I would go out of my way for the last home games. What do they have left? They have the Cowboys.
All division games.
Everybody.
All division.
I would seek out fans of all three teams and sell my tickets specifically to them and let that stadium fill, like you said, with the opposing. There's nothing more disheartening and disgusting to an owner than to look around the stadium and see more of the other jerseys from the visiting team than your home team. All right? And the Giant fans, this is the only way you can voice. Giants, fans can come on talk radio and get, call in and blah, blah, blah. But in mass, so that it's visible to the owner doesn't care about talk radio. He's not listening all the time.
Right.
But if you all don't show up and you have the other team, or let's put it this way, this would even be more of a kicker. I do go to the game because they're so expensive, the tickets, and I put my money in. So I'm going to go. But you know what? I'm going to go buy the Cowboy jersey and wear it for the game. How about that?
I was going to say, you go in there, you have your Giants jacket on, you have your Giants polo shirt on, and then underneath it, after a Cowboys score a touchdown, you rip the shirt off, you lift your jacket, open your jacket, you lift the shirt off, and boom, there is a Tony Romo jersey in navy underneath. There you go.
There you go. I mean, really. I mean, that would even be more disgusting for them to do. Because that's the only way visually the owner could see it. Mara just said in an interview, he said at the end here, he goes, did you expect the fans' reaction to be as visceral as it's been? And he said, yes and no, I expected there was going to be emotional reaction from fans. I would say it's been a little in excess of maybe what I had expected.
You think?
A little.
The guy won 2 Super Bowls.
But not only that, these are people that really don't always like Manning. Even my father. My father's never been a Manning fan.
Right.
He's disgusted by it. The way that Manning's being treated at this point. And he's, like I said, never really been a Manning fan. Always complaining when he throws an interception and yelling at TV and the whole thing. So really, he acknowledges what he's done for the Giants, but he really has never been his fan ever. He's pissed off. All right, these are people that were always in Eli's corner, but they're pissed off. You hear them on talk radio all day today. They admit it. They go, I'm not an Eli fan. This is disgusting because of what this guy has meant to the franchise. All right, this isn't a guy who's played 2 years. This has been your franchise quarterback, second in start, never missed a start since 2004 when he started, never missed a start. Come on. Are you kidding me?
I know.
And that includes how many playoff runs were they in?
They've had
it's
not just the 2 Super
It's
Bowls.
not just regular season games, right? It's how many they won 2 Super Bowls, so that's extra games.
He's won games on the road
in Green Bay,
Dallas,
where Coughlin almost lost his face. I mean, what I mean?
Look who he's beaten. Look who he's beaten. Look who he's beaten. He's beaten Tony Romo in the playoffs. He's beaten Brett Favre in the playoffs. He's beaten Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs when he was having an MVP season. He beat Tom Brady twice. He beat. I know he beat the Buccaneers too, but still, I mean, John Gruden was the head coach there, so that was still a team that was the division champion at the time. I mean, he's beaten good teams. He beat Alex Smith and the 49ers, and everyone loves Jim Harbaugh over there in San Francisco when he was there. He beat him too.
Right.
I mean, give me a break. When the money was on the line, look, is Eli a Hall of Famer? I would say borderline because the stats in the regular season with the interceptions do bug me. Okay, he's not Dan Reno, he's not John Elway, but the guy won games. The guy won big games. Right. When the game was on the line, he did things, made plays, made throws that a lot of those guys that I just mentioned never got a chance to make or could make. And
no garbage off the field from him. No scandalous stuff. Always stood in his locker, answers every question. He's been on all these talk shows. I think Mike Francesa's show since he started. Always, every week, no matter what, no matter how bad it is or whatever, stand-up guy, answers every question.
Yeah.
If you see his interview now, he's almost crying at his locker when they're talking to him about this. And his face, and he's still answering every single question. Okay? Where do you have it? You don't have someone leaving the facility and not answering questions. And this is one of the biggest kudos to Eli. Carl Banks.
Yeah.
Harry Carson. Doesn't talk any of those. Even guys who didn't play with him. Of course, Strahan was berserk on Fox today. Absolutely berserk.
Good. I was waiting for
Plaxico Burress. You're talking all these players. Of course, Deal and O'Hara and and O'Coughlin came out today. He was appalled. You're talking all these people that played with him or giant greats that didn't even play with him that are ticked off. Carl Banks didn't play with Eli. He's in the booth all the time, and he's watched his whole career. All right. It's just disgusting. I think it's disgusting.
Has Tiki said anything, or is he playing the role of Raymond Burr in Rear Window, where he just sits in the corner in the darkness where everyone's in the
no word from Tiki.
Oh my
no
goodness!
No word from Tiki at all.
Yeah, that figures.
He hasn't said a word, and Tiki shouldn't say a word.
Yeah,
Tiki should just stay out of it. And if someone asks him, he's got his own talk show now on CBS.
I know.
Sports Network. But I think he should. I don't know if he addressed it. I didn't hear. But I think he should just, I'm sure it's going to be addressed. It's going to be brought up on his show.
Yeah.
But I think he should stay as far away from it and just be very generic. And don't be, Eli, don't get on that bandwagon.
Yeah.
Because you're still bitter because you walked away from a Super Bowl. Tiki walked away before they won. They won the Super Bowl the following year, did they not? Because you were pissed with Coughlin. You think Eli sucks. Well, you don't have a Super Bowl ring. So go stay on your talk show on CBS. They gave you a bone there.
Absolutely. Now let's jump into this in the future here, because we've talked about the draft a little bit. Are the Giants really convinced that two things here? One, are they really convinced that Sam Darnold or Josh Rosen are going to be the guys? I don't know, because look, both of those guys haven't played exactly well in college this year. Rosen's had injuries. Darnold's had the turnovers that have been a huge issue this year. And look, I don't know whether either one of those two guys coming into New York are going to be as good as Eli was. I mean, it's very hard to find a franchise quarterback, and it's very hard to hit twice in a row. I mean, very few teams do that. Hit a home run twice in a row on a quarterback.
The Giants right now, you made your bed. You got to lie in it.
Oh, yeah.
So you got no choice. Whether there's another quarterback, I haven't paid attention too much this year to a lot of the college. I've watched a handful of games.
Yeah.
So maybe there is another quarterback that's coming out that maybe is not touted as high as these two, but maybe they are just as good. Do you know what I mean? And you don't know that. In this draft, I have no idea, but they have to draft. Now the Giants are forced to draft a quarterback, whether they like it or not, whether they like the quarterback or not, because they made this scenario, and the Giant fans are going to demand it. You're throwing Eli to the wolves. It's not going to be Geno next year. Can you imagine? You keep Reese and McAdoo and Geno Smith as your starting quarterback. The Giant fans won't come. They won't show up.
Might as well sign Tim Tebow.
The bags will be on the head. I don't care if they're winning games. The bags will go on the head. All right? So this is what you need to do if you're John Mara. Now you really, it's such a debacle. This is what he needs to do. And probably won't do it now. The end of the season, Reese and McAdoo absolutely have to go. Have to clean house on some of these players. Some of these players that were defiant, even though they didn't have respect for McAdoo, but that's a cancer on a team. Even when things are going bad, you need guys to stick together. They're interviewing some of these players. I saw they were asking them about. They're not even backing Eli. Some of these guys. Lewis, the rookie or whatever. He's like, I just got to worry about myself. What? Gone, cut. You're going to be cut. You're not even backing your quarterback on this. You're not even saying anything. That's another thing. Francesco went off on that. He goes, there's a lot of players they've interviewed that are not even backing Eli. Well, you know what? Clean friggin' house.
They need to.
It's clean house.
It's become everyone for themselves now. That's the problem. It's become a total mutiny now in that locker room. It's totally toxic. They have to clean house. I mean, they would send a message now if they just fired McAdoo. And even if they wanted to fire Reese now or wait until January 1st, whatever, it doesn't matter. Just send a message and make a move that's just going to send a shockwave through this team saying, enough of this. Enough. We're coming in. We're taking control of this thing. And if you don't like it, then get out. Simple as that. That's what needs to be said right now. And as far as Eli's concerned, you know what? If this is the end, and I hate to say it could be the end for him here in New York with the Giants. I wish that they can change this up. Maybe get rid of McAdoo first here in these 5 before the season ends. Let someone like a Spagnuolo coach, and then let Eli play the last couple of games at home and go out the way he should. He won't have the streak, I understand that, but just go out the way he should in one more game at the Meadowlands against the Redskins, and that's how it should end. And then if they want to trade him in the offseason to Jacksonville, which could be a place he may end up going with Coughlin down there, then, well, that's the story for next year with him with the Jaguars.
I think so, but I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
What's going to happen at this point?
I don't know.
Is it too broken? Is everything a mess?
Mm-hmm.
So, out of control that won't even happen?
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what would happen. That would be the right thing to do since they've screwed it up so much. Mm-hmm. And every time I hear McAdoo speak, I just want to throw something at the TV or the computer because I can't stand his. It's like an arrogance about him. Like when they asked him about this, they said, "Is this your decision?" And he goes, "We're all on the same page." You know, yeah, okay, we're all on the same page, but I don't know what to say at this point. I really don't.
I don't either.
It's just the Giants are being one of the best-run franchises in the history of football. With they always compete. They always say the Giants and Steelers ownership. Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know what's happened. Wellington's rolling in his grave.
Oh yes,
that's for sure. That's an absolute 100%.
Yeah, that's a slam dunk.
I
Right
don't
there.
know what to say.
It's like I think we've said it. I mean, they have to change. They have to clean house totally. The only way they're going to reestablish any credibility with this franchise, and it's going to be very hard to do that after what has happened here now. They have to clean house now, and they have to. I'm talking about Mara and Tish have to get control of this thing and take over and have full say in what's going on here, because right now the lunatics are running asylum here with Jerry Reese and Ben McAdoo. That's what's happening right now, and it has to stop. It has to stop right now. Someone's got to take charge.
Absolutely, and I'm sick of hearing it's not the Giant way to overreact. It's time to, or you pull the trigger. Have a quick trigger finger, or whatever you want to call it. They usually stay the course and they ride it out. You can't. McAdoo has lost this team. Mm-hmm. Okay, I know not everybody will be back next year, but you can't fire 52 players and get a whole nother 52. Mm-hmm. So what do? He's shown that he can't, that he's lost them. Once you lose them, you're done. You don't get that back. You don't. Once they lose respect and do everything they've done, which is, like I said, miss meetings, do this, do that. Remember Coughlin early on? Mm-hmm. He established, and people got pissed at him. 5 minutes early to you got to be 5 minutes early to the meeting. Mm-hmm. Not even on time. 5 minutes. Like he instituted some kind of, and they didn't like him in the beginning. And then he talked to Strahan, and they had their little council, and he earned the respect of his players. Mm-hmm. All right. McAdoo doesn't have that, and he lost it so badly. You can't get that back. You're done.
Mm-hmm. I agree. He's finished. There's no way he's going to get that respect back in the locker room, especially now. I mean, there's no turning point. There's no turning back for him. And you know what? I don't think he will ever coach. He may never coach in the NFL again. And I was looking at his background. I'm like, and when you look at it, you sit there and you say, how the heck did this guy even get a start at Green Bay? Because that's where he started this thing. How the heck did this guy start there? He never play the game. Didn't get into the NFL until really late in his I guess his career or life here for that matter. But how the heck did this happen with this guy? He should be nowhere near an NFL football field, and he is. And he may never be there again after this season's over.
Well, I don't know. The mistake, like I said, it goes back to, and I remember how all that went down, and getting rid of Coughlin, and Coughlin was a scapegoat, and they kept everybody but him. Remember?
I know. I remember.
They got rid of the head coach, but everybody stayed. All the assistants, the GM, most of players, of course players move around, but I mean, and Coughlin was like, so you're blaming this on me. That after 10 years, I'm old and nobody's listening to me, which wasn't the case.
Nope.
All right? He wasn't given enough talent. And he was asking for things and wasn't getting it. All right? And because look what he's doing with Jacksonville. He's
turned it around. That team's going to go to the playoffs
he's
in 1 year.
He's not the coach, but he knows about players. He's player personnel guy.
The Jaguars were the butt of jokes 12 months ago. Now they're a Super Bowl contender again in 12 months. That's how quickly it turned around. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, he has turned that franchise around. He's gotten a coach that he's on the same page with Doug Marrone. That defense is outstanding. They got the big-time running back. I mean, does this sound familiar? Yeah, it kind of sounds like what we had with the Giants here about 5-6 years ago, doesn't it? Only thing they need is quarterback.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they thought Ben McAdoo was going to be the genius young coach, unproven, that we found the what do you call it? Diamond in the rough, or whatever you want to call this dude. And he's been a diamond in the rough, all right. He's been awful. I mean, that's just being kind.
He is the piece of gold that you think you find, and then when you actually test it, and you find out it's actually just a cover of a chocolate bar or something like that. It's not gold at all. And then you try to taste the chocolate and it makes you sick. So it's like, come on. Oh my goodness.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just been a debacle.
It has been. It's been a disaster.
And worse. And like I said, every friggin' press conference, you want to punch him in the face. I mean, it's like, are you kidding me? I mean, what are you saying here? They used to say Tom wasn't great at press conferences.
Oh, this guy is uncomfortable. This guy is uncomfortable every time he speaks. I mean, it's just he is tense. Ben McAdoo is tense, standing up there at the podium talking to these guys. They ask him a question, and he just gets even more tense, more brittle, more tense with every answer. And you can it's almost like he knows what he's saying is wrong, but he doesn't seem to care. That's the thing.
You're right. You could say that. That's kind of like part of it, isn't it? I mean, like you see what comes out of his mouth, and you're like, did he just say that? Just like today when I saw the press conference about the Eli thing, and I'm like, and Mr. Arrogant up there with his slicked back hair, which I don't know what he's trying to do with that. And I'm like, what? Like, we're all on the same page, and all right. And one of the guys asked him, I don't know what reporter said, okay, Eli couldn't win with this offensive line and this whatever's happening and no weapons. How's Geno going to win? He asked him, well, we're going to do the game plan around Geno Smith. What? With what?
I know. With what is right.
What game plan? With the same garbage? It's going to be worse this week. They have, like I said, they have a whole mess on the IR, more people. So with, like, Roger Lewis is going to... And then he has the nerve to say, oh, it's not like Geno is Michael Vick, scrambler, He goes, well, Geno's a pocket passer.
No, he's not.
Well, so is Eli. No, he said he's a pocket passer. He can move better than Eli, though, if he had to move. Yeah. But he said he's a pocket passer. He's not. I don't know.
Yeah, but he's also a quarterback who's 6 games under 500. I mean, I don't know.
Well, the whole thing's ridiculous.
It is.
I mean, the whole thing, it just gets, you're like, is this really the New York Giants?
Yeah. It's like this.
That's what you end up saying.
I would be like the reporter. I would be like the reporter. So, Coach, why are you starting Ben Matt? Why are you starting Geno Smith? Well, he doesn't turn the ball over much. Did you watch the games he played for the Jets in 2013-14? That's pretty much it. I mean, seriously, watch the tape, man. Really?
He has.
Yeah.
That's what they said. We want to see. Didn't you see that with the Jets?
Yeah.
You want to see what he has with the Giants with the less talent than he had with the Jets.
Oh, my God. And that Jet team was a disaster, too, with that offensive line. Oh, my goodness.
So what can he do? You tell me.
Jesus, I mean, it's going to be an absolute. I'll say it anyway. It's going to be a shit show. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be a disaster. It's going to be an absolute train wreck. And look,
how many picks for Geno
on Sunday? I'm going to say over under. I'm going to say 3. I'm going to go over 3. How's that sound? How's it?
I mean, how many times is he going to get sacked? And who's going to make plays for him? There's nobody there to make any kind of play at all.
Maybe they'll fall behind like Buffalo did a couple weeks ago against the Chargers when they put in that rookie kid and he threw like 5 picks in the first half, and then McDermott turns around and says, "Okay, I'll go back to Tyrod Taylor now."
Yeah, right. Do you love them?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
They go back. You're going to see Eli back next week after you blew his streak. Okay. And then you'll bring him back.
Yeah.
Or Geno, this is the Canadian. He said that Eli's backing up Geno, right? So now Geno gets crushed, and they got to take him out. Gets absolutely crushed, injured. Eli comes in.
Yeah, he's the only one who's dressed, unless they want to have the punter throw passes. I don't know.
Now because he didn't start the game, is his streak done?
Yeah.
Still?
Yeah, he has to start the game.
You have to start the game.
You have to start the game. You have to be on the field for the first snap of the game. It's kind of like a starting pitcher. You know, if you throw one pitch, you start it. That's it. You know, if you start the game the first inning. So it's that kind of deal. It's kind of silly, but that's what it is.
All right.
Yeah.
So
let me
like Eli doesn't want to do that. He said, "I'm not doing that."
I don't blame him. Why should he want to do that? I mean. Treat these games like a preseason game. He wants to go out there and compete and win games. I mean, that's what he wants to do. And you know, if they have a chance to win the game, they're going to pull him out. I mean, I don't blame him for that. I don't blame him at all for that. Really.
No. Now it's a point of just personal pride, or just I don't blame him. You're right. I don't blame him doing that. That's where you give him a lot of kudos because he. For his character. Yeah. Because he could say, let's keep the streak going, and I'll just do that. He's like, no, you want Geno? You got Geno. That's what he's saying, basically. That's what it is, and they're gonna get Geno a lot on Sunday. Let's just jump quickly to the Jets for a minute, and then we'll go over to the Yankees, because there's a lot going on with the Yankees right now. The Jets lost on Sunday. They blew that game big time against the Carolina Panthers with the way they played in that fourth quarter. We could talk about the drop pass that was a touchdown and should have been a touchdown that the referees blew. Another blown call by the referees on the Austin Safarian-Jenkins. I could do an entire show on that one. I'm not going to do that right now. But, I mean, to me, it's about how this team, and I know it's a young team. I know they have young players. I know they weren't expected to win many games this year for the Jets, but every single game that they are in and they have a chance to win the game, they blow the game. They blew a 14-point lead in Miami. They blew a lead against the Patriots. They blew a lead against Atlanta. And I know it's Atlanta. And then they had a lead against Carolina, and they blow that. I know these are good teams, except for Miami. But when you have a lead, you got to close the game down. And this team continues to make one bad penalty after another. And that is on Todd Bowles. I don't know what it is that he is just not getting through to this group of players about penalties. I mean, even the game on Sunday, they have a bad pass interference call on this guy, Mike Pennell. I never ever heard the guy until Sunday when he threw Cam Newton to the ground on a fourth down and 5. They were off the field, and he gets roughing the passer penalty. I mean, it was ridiculous. It really was. Well, this is what Bowles is known for. I don't want to hear anybody tell me, are we giving him the extension yet? No. Because we expected the team to be 0-16, but they're not. So that means he must be doing a decent job. No. First of all, they weren't going to be 0-16. In the beginning, when all this was happening, there was too much talent on this team, hidden talent, guys with pride, that they were not going to, that they were going to go 0-16. Let's call a spade, all right? Let's just put it out there. So all those naysayers, I hope they tank, lose every game, they weren't going to be that bad. I agree. They weren't going to be the Browns, okay? So let's just call it what it is. So this team doing what it's doing is about what I almost expected. I didn't expect them to go 0-16. I expected to win at least 4 or 5 games. That's what they're up to right now. They may not win another game. They may win another game or two, maybe. They're still not going to the playoffs. All right, they are the most undisciplined. Aren't they 31 out of 32 teams for penalties?
I think they're. I think they're the most penalized team. They are the most penalized team in the NFL.
All right, I did that reverse. I meant to do it like first or second as far as penalties.
Right.
So, and undisciplined. That guy, when he pushed New, and there was no reason, you were coming into him. When you grabbed him, you should have held on to him. Mm-hmm. In other words, if your momentum was taking you into him, just give the guy the benefit of the doubt. Then you hold. I've seen that a million times. They bump into something, they grab him because they don't want the penalty. Mm-hmm. And he just pushed him right down and looked right at the ref, like daring him to throw the flag. Mm-hmm. And there comes the yellow flag. And this is another thing. This is what Bowles is, I'm sick of hearing. This is what's happening in the NFL. They're running the inmates run the asylum, basically. They are running the asylum. I know the guy in Atlanta said, like, the prisoners are running. He got all, but, he's like 85 years old, so give the guy a break.
Exactly.
He meant the inmates are running the asylum, and they are. When that guy did that penalty, how come he wasn't pulled out of the game? Mm-hmm. That's such a good player that you needed him still on the defensive line, like he was going to make a play for you.
That's right.
When he just blew the game for you? How come he didn't pull him out and sit him down? You're out of the game. These coaches have they're scared. Odell Beckham and McAdoo, even Coughlin. I think Coughlin just wanted to win that game so badly. Mm-hmm. That nonsense with Carolina with Josh Johnson or
Josh Norman.
Josh Norman and Odell. I think that was part of Coughlin's thinking. Mm-hmm. He really should have just done what he always does and be the disciplinarian and pull him out. Mm-hmm. All right, he's our star. Too damn bad. Mm-hmm. Too damn bad. You're not going to be acting like an asshole. Excuse me.
That's okay. I don't care.
All right. But you know what I mean? You're not going to act like that. All right, and get away with it. This is my team, and you're not pulling this garbage. Okay, so Bowles, these guys constantly are doing penalties, and he's got that stupid look on his face, and he does nothing.
He looks
your ass out of the game.
He looks like a guy who had a pineapple. Seriously, a pineapple shoved up his butt. I mean, really, that's what it looks like. It really does. Because I mean, he is emotional. He is unemotional at all. He doesn't get on the referees. He's had the referees screw him over 3 times this year on touchdowns that should have been touchdowns, including the one on Sunday. And he doesn't raise an eyebrow. I mean, get upset.
You know
throw your headset across the field. Do something. Get up angry.
McAdoo does the same thing. One day, I forgot what player was. I think it was Beckham was really hurt. That was where he broke his leg. Do you know McAdoo was staring at that stupid card in front of his face and never went out and checked on his player?
Yeah.
And you're the head coach. Mm-hmm. Your star player ends up having a broken leg. You didn't even go out there? He never goes out when guys are hurt. Mm-hmm. He never goes out there. What is that? Mm-hmm. That's bullshit.
It is.
Coughlin would always be one of the first ones running out there checking on his players.
Mm-hmm. I know.
I'm sorry. Coughlin was more emotional. These guys, I'm old school. Mm-hmm. That's the kind of, whether you like it or not, I don't care what era this is. I don't care what dances you do in the end zone and all your bullshit. When it comes to playing ball, you better be playing. And this is what's wrong with the NFL. The fundamentals, they're gone.
Yeah.
If I see one more guy, a cornerback especially, go try to tackle somebody with their shoulder and bump them, I'm tired of seeing it. What happened to wrapping people up?
I know. The coaching has gotten worse in the NFL, and there was a big column.
Exactly.
There was a big column, and I forget where it was. It might have been Sports Illustrated or something like that, and it just went into how all these owners, all they do every single year is they have this mass exodus of coaches, 7 or 8 firings, and the coaching pool has become so thin that now you're just getting whatever the flavor of the month is. 2-3 years ago, Todd Bowles was the flavor of the month after what he did in Arizona. 2 years ago, Ben McAdoo was the flavor of the month for whatever reason with the Giants. I still can't even figure that one out. But you get the point. The point is, it's always about who's the hot coordinator, and no one's going for the guy who's the experienced guy or the guy who has proven something, even at college for that matter, as a head coach. You don't see that anymore right now in the NFL, and it's really it's saturated the league, and it's created poor play. And look, I know that a lot of fans out there saying, like you just said, illustrated earlier, with Bowles. Oh, they won 4 games. They won 1 more game than I thought they would win. Well, who cares whether they won 1 more game, 2 more games than you thought they did at the beginning of the year? Should he still be the head coach of this team? In my mind, no. The team is undisciplined. They still can't develop a young quarterback. I mean, look at this. He's had Hackenberg and he's had Petty on his bench, and he can't develop them.
For 2 years.
2 years, he can't develop them. And he refuses to go to bench McCown, and before that, Ryan Fitzpatrick, to go to one of these young kids just to see what they got. I mean, we just spoke about Eli Manning. Josh McCown's not Eli Manning, okay?
Yeah, but
it's a totally different situation.
Franchise quarterback.
Yeah, totally different
McCown
situation.
And the other one weren't.
Totally different situation. Absolutely.
Fitzpatrick.
Totally different situation. So bench those guys, go with the young guys, let's see what you got. So, let's find out whether you need to go out there and trade up in the draft to get one of these young quarterbacks or not. Because right now we still don't know. We still don't know what their future is.
They drafted these two guys and they think they're no good. Well, how come they haven't cut them over the past 2 years?
Exactly.
If you really think they can't handle it.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
no, you leave them there on your bench. You don't use them. One's not even dressed for the game.
Mm-hmm.
And the fans are in the stands and everybody's wondering, what the hell are you doing with that? Why are they there then? That's my thing.
Mm-hmm.
Then get rid of them.
Exactly. Enough's enough. I mean, it's just so ridiculous. That's why I've had fights with other Jet fans. Like, oh, we want to have Todd Bowles still here. Jet fans like Todd Bowles. I'm like, are you kidding? Are you kidding? You like Todd Bowles? Give me a break. It's time.
They haven't improved. They've gotten worse with the penalties.
Yeah.
When he first, what is this, his second year?
Third year now. Third
year. Go look every year. My computer died, so I just had to plug it in. So I can't look it up. I don't know if you can. What were their turnovers in the league the last 3 years? Where were they?
In penalties?
Where were they for turnovers or penalties? Penalties. Let's go penalties.
Let me see here. That might take a minute, but right now I know that they lead the league in penalties this year. But
and last year too, they were high though.
They were high, but it wasn't as bad as this. It was not as bad as this.
Okay, so they're getting worse under him.
And think about this. Even under Rex Ryan, and Rex Ryan was a guy who had that team do whatever the heck they wanted, they were not as penalized as this team is. Not at all. They were more disciplined than this team is. And that says a lot. It really does.
Number one, I think, is Oakland. Isn't Oakland always number one? It doesn't matter who the coach is.
Yeah, usually is.
I don't know.
Yeah, let's see here. Okay, NFL stats, football stats here, penalties. Let's see here. Penalties per game. This is as of this year. Let's see here. The Jets are 30th. They average 8 penalties per game. 30th. The teams that are worst are Miami and Seattle. Seattle has the most. Last year, the Jets were fifth. In other words, one of the fewest penalized teams. They were only averaging 5.8 penalties per game. So they went from 5.8 penalties per game to 8 penalties per game this year. How the heck does that happen? You can tell me it's...
And they go from 5th to 30th in the league. Let's give him an extension.
Yeah.
Right now. Let's do it now.
Give me that pen and pencil.
Call him in. Beat TGIF right there in front of all these fans. We're going to have you sign. We're going to extend your contract. Are you kidding me?
Oh, my God.
That's just one thing. You can tell he doesn't have discipline just with the players.
Rex Ryan's last year, the Jets were 17th. They averaged 6.8 penalties per game. His last year, they averaged 6.8 penalties per game.
What was Bowles' first year?
15. Let me pull up 15 here. 15 was... Yeah, that was 3 years ago now. They were 4th. They averaged 6 penalties per game. So, in other words, they've averaged 2 more penalties per game in 3 years. Oh, my goodness. You got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding. And then I'll pull up the turnovers. But the turnovers this year haven't been too bad because, outside the fumble by McCown, they've taken care of the football for the most part.
But what about takeaways, though? There's turnovers with them as a takeaway.
Yeah, that hasn't been... Let's see here. That hasn't been too good. Let's hear. Give takeaway. The Jets right now are ranked. In fact, they're tied with the Giants right now. They are ±0 in the turnover ratio.
There you go.
So that's for this year. Now, last year, the Jets were 32nd in the league in turnovers, -20 in turnovers last year. Let's give them an extension. Let's do it. The year before that, his first year, the Jets were +6 in the turnover ratio. So they went from +6 to -20 to 0. Extension. Let's do it.
This is what I think should happen.
Yes.
In New York football, period. At the end of the season, on the last day, Mara and Johnson and it's going to be the brother, I guess, because Woody's some, London, whatever he is now. What is he?
He's the ambassador to London.
Ambassador to London, right?
Yeah, he's going to. So the Jets could become the London Jets in 3 years.
Okay. So I think they need to call everybody in, and I think the Jets need to also fire. I hate to say it, fire the GM.
Yeah,
fire
that's
Bowles.
fine. That's
you
fine.
better fire the GM.
McAdoo
the
goes.
Giants. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. To be honest, if I was Mara this week almost, but Mara kind of signed off on this in a way, so he's now stuck. If he said, listen, if he would have stuck to his little story saying, I told them maybe we should start looking elsewhere, and they did it like this, I don't want to do it like this. But Eli is forcing the hand because Eli's saying, I'm not starting for a quarter and coming out.
Yeah.
So Eli's actually dictating to them, listen, it's not fair to the guy and all that, and I'm not preparing for a quarter. So that's what they went with. I would have fired Reese and McAdoo this week for the botching. Wait till after this game.
Yeah, I would fire them all. I mean, I think they both need to clean house. They really do. It's time for new regimes in New York football here for 2017. Now, folks, for those of you listening right now, this was part 1 of our show. We have a second part of the show coming up in just a little bit, as we'll delve into the Yankees managerial search. Will it be Carlos Beltran? Will it be Aaron Boone? Who knows, but the Yankees have dragged out this search for a very long time, so stay tuned for part 2. You will probably find a link in the description box. When it is up, we will post the show on Friday, part 2 of this open mic program. But for right now, I want to thank you for tuning in and listening here to part 1 of this show as we talked about the Eli Manning fiasco with the New York Giants. Talk to you in a little bit.